Did Steven Crowder just drop the truth bomb that everybody was waiting for about conservative media? Or was it a big nothing burger? Who knows?
Politics in the United States of America. The left has gotten really left, and the right has gotten really right. Everyone's towing the line, and we're getting nowhere. Fast. This is the Rational American. The Rational American. Common sense has gone out the window, and our passion is to open eyes in hopes that people will take a rational look at what America is actually becoming. Put your feelings aside and let's get real. This is the Rational American, and this is your host, Steve Oatley.
All right. Enough of that intro. Let's get right into it today because I'm back for a second episode of the day. That doesn't happen that often. It actually does. But anyway, Steven Crowder put out a video today, which was pretty big. And in case you live under a rock, Steven Crowder is probably the largest political commentator on social media, let alone outside of Tucker Carlson. I guarantee if you look at views versus one of Steven Crowder's shows versus the daily views of any single show that's on cable television, I'm pretty sure that Steven Crowder would beat those views terribly. He's just got a tremendous following, a tremendous amount of people watch him, including a tremendous amount of haters watch him. But today he made a video where he was talking. Many people know for whatever reason he decided that he was going to leave Blaze, or that the contract that he had with Blaze TV, he didn't go into specifics, so I'm not going to try to pretend like I know the deets there. I said deets. Yeah. Can you tell I've been hanging out with my 12-year-old? Anyway, he hasn't really explained. He just basically said it wasn't working for him. And my guess is that it had a lot to do with the fact that Crowder was getting demonetized and stuff like that. And the way these social media companies are working through their partnership agreements with other people. And because Steven Crowder wasn't monetized, this is what I believe, because Steven Crowder wasn't monetizing on social media, that he probably went to these guys and was like, hey, I need revenue to be able to keep building what I've been building. I just literally scratched my eyeball. How many of you guys saw that? Yeah, that's real live television. So that was probably, and I'm pulling it out my butt there, so I don't really know, but I can guess that there was money issues. Blaze TV didn't want to pay what Steven Crowder was asking. Steven Crowder wanted more control over his show, and that was probably the compromise that they couldn't work out. So he made the public decision. And I don't think it ended amicably because of the way Steven Crowder went on social media and saying listen, I don't know what's happening. I need everyone to go get your emails and, logged into this database. And the fact that they didn't even have that database set up and that Jeremy from the Quartering had to go and help them get all that stuff set up. I got a feeling that was a quick break and nobody really knew what happened. So, but he said some things. Someone said he touched on it and said they fined him for sick. No, Will, you're not paying attention. And maybe that was the case. Maybe that was what happened with Blaze TV. I didn't hear that. I heard him talk about being sick today and whether he would get fined. And we're going to talk about this in a bigger picture. I'm going to try to approach this in a way that I know, because keep in mind, when my show was at its height, before we got shadow banned and before, I changed the concept and before social media, shadow banned the crap out of me so no one could see my shows anymore, we also entertained some offers to go work with several of these companies and made the decision ourselves that we wanted to control our content. And do I kick myself in the ass for it every day? Sure, because I could have made a lot more money. However, I'm independent and I will always be independent in that regard. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to own my show, essentially. So let me explain so today he put out this video, right? So as soon as the Blaze TV thing happened and he became public about that he's a free agent, and he basically said, hey, if any of you guys have a place, a home for us, let me know. And a lot of you guys message me okay, I have Crowder money. Not even close. I can't even get above 67,000 subs on YouTube. I've literally been at 60,000 subs for over a year on YouTube. Go figure that out. When I did I had like 8 million minutes watched or 8 million hours watched or something for 2020, and I gained 102 subscribers in 2022. Like, no joke. I actually shared the YouTube analytics on social media when I first found that out, because you could tell. And the majority of them are all coming from subscribers because they're just not showing my content. But anyway, let's get to this. So he put himself out there and saying, hey, I'm not with Blaze TV anymore. I'm now I'm on the market, right? I'm a free agent, as he said today too. So he started getting offers from all these other companies, and rightfully so. If I was a big CEO and I had a huge budget, I would go to Crowder and say, hey, listen, man, let's go. Come on over here. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have done what these companies did. I wouldn't have made a play for everything. But you have to understand, Steven Crowder is not just Steven Crowder. They're not, anybody that's vying for his business is not vying for just Steven Crowder. They're vying for his entire company. The company has about 25 or so employees and has net revenues of $5 million a year, and that's based on the Zoom info and all the data sets that are publicly available. Who knows how many employees or how much money they make? But that information is pretty accurate in terms of doing sales, so you could figure out information. That's what I used to do when I was a sales director. We used to use those business resources to look into a company, so that way when we made a sales call, even though we were cold calling, we knew a lot about the company already. And I just did a quick search and was able to find out a little bit about his company, because I saw some things in this contract that they left out, where I saw some things that should have been in this contract that would have pushed that point further, except they weren't in it. And so it meant that they deliberately left it out when they made the show today. And that was something that I want to address real quick, and then I'll go on and talk about everything. So many of you guys may have seen the video that Steven Crowder put out. And if you didn't, pause this video and go watch his video, because I'm not going to play it all. But basically, he was talking about this contract. He was urging independent, like kid content creators that are, going out, that are starting or that are much smaller than him, which virtually everybody is smaller than Steven Crowder when it comes to content, not to sign these big contracts to go partner up with these big conservative tech companies. And there's not that many of them. Let's be honest. You got Blaze, you got the Daily Wire, the Daily Caller, right? Those are the three big ones that everybody knows. And there's some other ones out there too, but they're not going to have the money to go after it. Daily Caller is backed by Tucker Carlson and all them. Daily Wire is the Ben Shapiro and the other guy, Jeremy Boning or whatever. And Blaze TV, who knows who owns that company now? It's different. It keeps switching and there's different CEOs from what I understand. So this is what ended up happening. They pitched him this contract. He didn't like what was in the contracts and he made a video, but he admitted certain things. And guys, and let me be honest with you, it was 100% intentional. And while right now what I'm going to say is going to sound critical of Steven Crowder and what the video that they put out today, trust me, it'll make up for it at the end. Okay. But many of you guys may have seen, the screenshots. Like this is one screenshot that was shared on social media. And it talked about a reduction of fees. So the fee is what they were getting, right? The fee was something that was pre-negotiated, and that amount was not provided by Steven Crowder. It was not provided as any document. And I gotta read, and I believe I understand why. My guess, and I would not believe that I'm wrong on this, that my guess is that the fee in this contract is somewhere around the 25 million range. That is my guess, that the fee is a lump sum, essentially, that Steven Crowder or that his company, Crowder LLC or whatever, would get. Because, again, they have employees, they have all that. The fee would be a contract rate that they get, and then they have all these penalties that would be applied. Now, what they're doing is they're not negotiating a profit share or something, which is what Blaze TV does for the most part, from what I understand, unless you're a small content creator, and then they say, you have to do what we say, and then you tell them to F off, right? So my guess is it's not based on a profit share. Instead, what they are saying is, listen, here is this massive fee. This is what you get. You produce 192 or 142 shows or whatever it is per year. That's it. It's cut and dry. You don't do it, you get penalized because we're not going to pay you for content that you're not creating. They left out the fee in this contract, which is something that at first I had the same outrage because, when I was watching his video, I'm like, just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Because Steven Crowder is big enough in the conservative sphere that he could pick up a phone call and call anybody any big conservative money person and get millions of dollars. And I guarantee it, and he probably knows that just as well as I do, but that would require him to go out there and do it and make those calls and have those difficult conversations. He likely doesn't want to do it. And so he was shopping out his business with these other companies that were making him offers to own the Crowder brand, which, unless there's a huge lump sum on top of that, he would never do. So my guess, and again, this is just a guess, my guess is what transpired with this contract is they gave him a contract that where the first page probably said the fee was probably $20 million to $25 million, right? If not more. And that was for his entire business. That was almost like an acquisition where they come in and they say, okay, and my guess is it was above 25 million a year because Steven Crowder also has a massive audience and those customers are coming. So if Steven Crowder signed, let's say with the Daily Wire, all of those customers are going to go and subscribe to the Daily Wire because they want that Crowder content. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. That's what's going to happen when you bring a huge content creator over to your platform is they're going to get it. So likely, and plus email lists, he did the Mug Club email thing where that went down and they received hundreds of thousands of emails. Look at the video that I watched today. It was released 20 minutes before and it had 152,000 views. Who knows how many views it has now? He's got a huge audience. So what probably happened is that they offered him a big contract, 25 mil, right? And Steven Crowder, you're more than welcome to comment on this and make me famous. But at the same time, you could say, oh no, Steve, you're way off base. They didn't offer me 20 to 25 million. And listen, not everything will make sense when you keep that in mind, but keep that in mind because some of it will and be like, well, that does make sense. Then they have things which don't make sense. Well, so first, let's look at this other screenshot first because I'm jumping ahead of myself. So let me find this other. Oh God, where is it? What happened here? And so what leads me to believe that they are buying everything from him is the merch rights. This leads me to believe that they are paying a very big number, 20, 25 million or more, because they are buying everything. They are buying, it's saying they will maintain exclusive right to create and sell Crowder and Crowder content-based merchandise. It's saying that all of the exploitation of these rights is included in the fee. So that means that whatever that fee is that's not mentioned here, that number was what that's everything. That's all Crowder's business, right? And my guess is it's more money than they ever thought of, but not as much money as they thought. And so they had to do this. And I wouldn't be, no, I won't go that far. But email list. They're buying the email list and I already said this too, buying the email list for Steven Crowder, the Mug Club and all that stuff. And if it goes to the Daily Caller, guess what? They rent out their email list. If it goes to the Daily Wire, guess what? They rent out their email list. In fact, the Daily Wire apparently made close to $1 million selling out your email addresses to people, renting them. They basically get access to the emails and the RNC paid, I think the RNC paid $700,000 in the election cycle because it's all public information, so everyone can look it up. And then you got social media. They manage all their social media. It says we'll have the exclusive right to manage, curate, and monetize Crowder's official Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Snapchat, Rumble, and other social media accounts, excluding Crowder's existing personal Twitter and Instagram accounts during the term. Additionally, we will have the perpetual and exclusive right to create, own, manage, curate, and monetize any and all social media accounts on any social media or similar platform as determined by blank on the Crowder content or shows. Our remuneration for the exploitation of these rights is included in the fees. So again, what they're saying is the fee it's a weird word for it, but that's what it's called. The fee, which is the massive amount of money that they're offering, that Steven Crowder wasn't transparent and said, hey, this fee is what they're buying. This company, apparently, according to this contract, was buying Steven Crowder's business and saying, okay, now Steven Crowder, you work for us. That's essentially what this contract is reading based on what I said. Now, with that understanding, it would make sense, right? Especially if it was 25 million, because when you look at the penalties, let's look at some of these penalties. This is some of the penalties. Daily content. If Crowder fails for any reason to deliver 192 episodes of The Daily Show, including any and all ad reads, promo reads approved and deemed satisfactory by the company, $100,000 reduction in fee per instance. For clarity, at any time, if Crowder misses a single episode of the daily content without written, the fee will be reduced by 100%. Now, everyone can do simple math, I hope, right? You guys can do simple math. Real quick, what is $100,000 times 192? It's right around $14 million, right? So you can only assume that this contract is at least worth $14 million for the year, because what they're doing is saying, if you do not do what we are contractually obligating you to do, if you sign this contract, you in your each episode is essentially worth $100 million. If you do not do that said episode, you do not get the $100,000. That is not rare, especially in the entertainment business. They're paying for the show. You have a budget for the show. You are getting paid for that show. If you do not do that show, you do not collect that money. It's like NFL contracts. NFL contracts, if you don't play, if you just decide all of a sudden that you don't want to play football anymore and you have a 2-year contract and you quit halfway through your first year, do you think you still get the other 1.5 contracts? It doesn't work. That's not what it is. So the only thing that kind of gets me is where it says, including any and all ad reads. That means that he loses all creative rights over his product, over his show. He's not allowed to choose what content does go on his show with the ad reads and how often they are. If he doesn't read the ad reads, he gets penalized. And then it goes monthly and quarterly content. If Crowder fails to deliver monthly content in any month or any of the quarterly content in any quarter, including any and all ad reads, he is fined $250,000. And it says fee would be reduced by $250,000. So that means that also on top of the $4.7 million that was likely allocated for the 192 episodes of The Daily Show, there was probably more money put on, at least, let's say, 12. So you're talking what? That's $6 million more. So right now you're sitting right around that $20 million mark that I just talked about before. So you're sitting at about $20 million worth of content or total. And if you don't do these special promos, the special productions, the monthly or quarterly programs, then you likely will not get paid that money. Same thing. You're not going to get that money if you're selling all your rights to the company. That's not surprising to me. It's simply not. It's not surprising to me because, well, this is the way this business works. If you are in the entertainment business, there's a reason why a lot of the independent content creators are not signed. You know how much easier it is to go and do this and just conform and do what they want and be able to stay online and do all that stuff? That's what they're doing. That's all these people that are doing, all these people that are being talking heads for the Conservative Party. And that's more of what Crowder was talking about at the end. And we'll get to that. But whatever. Annual contract, if he fails to do any of the annual stuff that's permitted, he gets fined $1 million. And again, that's likely built into that number. And that's why I said it's probably around $25 million. And that's probably the yearly contract. I guarantee he was probably getting $15-20 million just for his customer base. He's got a massive customer base. Keep in mind, when I was a bigger show, we had big sponsors. We still do, but they don't pay us as much, if anything. But we had big sponsors that covered this show. And you guys that watch both shows may realize that we had a sponsor on my show, Spartan Armor. They sponsor our cups. I could talk about it. Spartan Armor also was an advertiser on their show. I don't know how much they paid. I know how much they paid me, and it was more money than I ever thought I would get. And they paid me, and they did the cups, and they did all the sponsorship stuff with us and sent all the body armor. It was a great company. And I can only imagine if I was a bigger audience, if I had tens of thousands of people watching every episode, how much money I would get. You know what I mean? And some of these other bigger companies that have, and we've been in talks with other advertisers that work with other shows on YouTube that are relatively large. And then I can't get on board with these kind of things, because I truly want to be self-sufficient and talk about what I want to talk about when I want to talk about. And that's why that's why the corporate route didn't work for me. And I had the opportunity to go work for a big network in the end of 2020. I was in talk with them, but again, I wouldn't have owned my intellectual property. It would have been gone. So and so I made the decision not to do it, and my wife is still pissed at me for it. But it is what it is. And I don't talk about that much here. A couple of people know what it is, but I don't talk about it much because it is relatively embarrassing. If I said it, you guys would all be like, what the fuck, Steve? Like, really? But whatever. And then Steven Crowder said, like, if he misses an episode because he's sick, then he gets fined $100,000, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, it actually says in the bottom, in the event of temporary disability or serious illness that prevents Crowder from performing, the fee will be reduced on a pro ratio basis, not subject to the fee reduction schedule above. Which means that the statement he made about getting fined a certain amount of money if he misses a sick or show because he's sick or family's sick, that doesn't actually apply. It just means that he would become what he doesn't want to become, which is an employee. Essentially, he's selling his whole business to become an employee. Now, out of everything that we've read thus far, and it doesn't surprise me that he would say no. What does surprise me is that he would put out the video he did today without discussing that fee. Without him even addressing that fee at all, it makes it seem like he was getting a really small amount of money and he was going to be fined more money than he was likely making, which I doubt. I doubt, because no person is going to send over a contract like that where, say, they have a $10 million contract, and if you don't do 192 episodes, you would end up owing them $4.7 million. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to send a contract. So my belief is that this contract was in the ballpark of $20 to $25 million per year, and probably closer to the $25 to $30 million per year, and he would have the right to negotiate every single year going forward. But again, and a big lump payout for all of his existing customer bases. Even if that was the case and he was willing to entertain that, this is another one that wouldn't work for Steven Crowder anyway. The biggest one is ad drop, right? So this is the first one. He talked about it briefly, but he kind of glanced over it. It said if Crowder is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of his then extant advertising partners, that is 50% of the revenue from those partners, and the company is not able to replace them within 90 days, then the fee would be reduced by 25% until such time that his ad revenue has been restored for a period of 90 days. What that is saying is that if Steven Crowder does what Steven Crowder does and is controversial in some of his things because the left can't handle the truth, and so he makes a statement about something that is factually accurate, but they lie because they do what they do, the left is crazy, and then they go and try to boycott him or boycott his advertisers, which there's a whole check my ads, leftist agenda on social media right now. That's what they literally do. So if Steven Crowder says something that's controversial and his ad revenue is reduced because people put pressure on his advertisers to cancel their ads, it's in his contract that his fee, or that the fee that he'd receive would be lessened. So they'd reduce it by 50%, meaning the company needs to generate that revenue back. It's not like they're just giving over, $100 million or $100,000 an episode if they don't believe they're going to make that money back, whether it's through partnerships, whether it's through selling something on their channels or whatever the case is. They need to sell subscriptions or what. And if they're not able to make up the difference of whatever it is, so say they sell half of his contract fees and subscriptions and the other half is through advertising placements on a guy that regularly gets 200,000 live viewers, it's huge for social media. So imagine he's going live on social media and they're not able to play ads on it. They're not able to make the money that they are already paying him to do. So they have penalties in place for that. Again, very, very standard when it comes to advertising. If you are not making money and you are essentially losing the business money, they want either a way to get their money back, or two, they're going to cancel their contract with you and see you in court. That's very standard, especially when it comes to entertainment, but it is what it is. With Steven Crowder, it's a kind of a different position though, because you know damn well that people are going to go after his advertisers. The second he gets any big corporate spot, if he got on television or whatever, the second he gets there, they're going to go crazy attacking him. That's just what they're going to do. He could literally get up there, dress, in a rainbow shirt and talk liberal talking points for an hour, and liberals would still pull out their hair and try to get all his advertisers canceled. That is very basic, and we all know it. So this should be the reason why he was scared away. Because he's like, wait a second, so you're telling me that I have to then censor my content so it conforms to advertisers, because that way if you won't lose the advertisers. Because if you lose the advertisers, then I lose my revenue, which means I can't pay my employees, which means this is all a waste. That's essentially what he's saying. So I get why he would say no to the contract. I don't know why he would put it out there with everything else that was transpiring, unless he's just doing it to drive in traffic for himself, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially when you know how the business works. And I'm not anywhere near close to his level, but I can get a firm grasp on it. Now, I could have made a clickbait video where I'm like, Steven Crowder goes nuclear. Yeah, by the way, your coffee sucks. Ha! But and you guys know who that is. But I could make a video like that, but I understand the industry, I guess, a little bit more. So I understand that, well, it does suck that someone is trying to buy everything about Steven Crowder, essentially buy his name. I wonder if that was even in there. They buy all his social media. Everything he built and worked for 6 years would be gone if he signed this contract. So he'd be stupid to do it, unless it was like $100 million or something like that. But my guess is it wasn't enough. And then when he saw all this, he was like, nah, this doesn't. But again, from a business perspective, why would you work for free? You know what I mean? Why would someone employ you to work for free if they're not making money back for you? Do you know what I mean? So and then this is another thing. Like, this would be a no-go, even for me. You could offer me $2 million right now, and I would be like, I'm not signing this fucking contract. Because what you're saying right now is that if someone else tries to cancel me and they're successful, and advertisers get pulled off. Remember Mercado, where he's like, oh, I'm going to call Spartan Armor and get them to cancel you at your contract because you go after veterans. And I'm like, I'm not going after veterans. I'm going after you because you suck ass. And good luck canceling. If Spartan Armor was to pull it because of that, that is canceling. And that happens all over the country, all over with social media. And it happens on the left too, right? Where the right boycotts the left and all that. It happens both ways. The right never wants to admit it when they're doing it to the left. The left cheers it on when they do it to the right. It's weird, but it does. It happens both ways. Let's not pretend it doesn't. But that's one thing, right? Content strike. Because again, he's selling his entire shit. Okay? So he's selling his content strike to so they own his social media. They own all of his social media stuff. So it says, if any of the major platforms, e.g. YouTube, that's another thing. It's got a spelling error in an actual contract offer. If this was me and you have an error like that where you forgot a B, I would send the contract back to you just as it is and be like, okay, dude, what do you send me, a rough draft? At least have some, shred of integrity and actually do some spell check or something. And then it says Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify issues a content strike other than a company-wide content strike that such Crowder content cannot be monetized on such platform, and the company is not able to resolve the issue within 90 days, then the fee will be reduced by 25% from that point forward. So that's just saying if Steven Crowder does what Steven Crowder does and says something controversial and he gets demonetized again on YouTube or loses monetization privileges on Facebook, if he even has those, or Instagram or any of the other accounts, or Spotify, again, the company is buying Steven Crowder's business. So if Steven Crowder if they're not able to make money off of said business, then they don't want to pay what they're paying for that business. It's really not that far-fetched to understand that aspect of it. At least to me, it's not that far-fetched. Then it says ban. Now, and again, but because we know who Steven Crowder is, this is all very each individual one would be like, okay, well, I can't sign this contract because there's a very good likelihood that we're going to have boycotts and be dropped by advertisers. There's a very good likelihood that we're going to get a content strike, especially on YouTube because they suck, where it's very likely that we'll likely get banned off of one of the platforms for even a short time. Because it's already happened numerous times. How many content strikes has Crowder gotten in the past year? Every single time. Most of the time he gets it reversed. He was going to go sue YouTube. Nothing ever happened with that. But, we fight back. Remember that? Where he was going to sue him? Maybe he is doing it, but I check every day in Pacer, and he has never filed a lawsuit against them. He did say he filed an intent to sue, but there's never a filing done. And like I said, we check on Pacer. I follow a bunch of cases every single day, and that's not one of them. Anyway. Says ban. If Crowder content cannot be released on any of the major platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, because Crowder or his content being banned on those platforms, and the fee will be reduced by 20%. If Apple Podcasts, 20%. If Facebook, 10%. If Spotify, 10%. Which is why I believe this contract fee was in the range of $30 million, if not more. Because again, they are building in what kind of revenue they believe they're going to generate off of these platforms. Which is really crazy because he's been demonetized on Facebook for like a year, and they believe that they would be able to and likely this is probably Steven Crowder should be more upset with this than anything else, because say this is the Daily Wire or another big company, likely to put YouTube revenue in here as a built into the fee. You know that the powers that be at this, whatever company this is, likely called the powers that be at YouTube and said, hey, if we are now taking over Crowder's show and we are dictating what he can say, and as long as he checks these boxes and stays within these lines, will you monetize him again? They likely got someone at YouTube to say yes. So keep that in mind. And that's what the bigger issue should be for Steven Crowder, is he should be like, wait, why is there a YouTube commission built into this contract as a fee? Because as it stands right now, Steven Crowder is demonetized on YouTube. So just that alone, if that is the case, then YouTube shouldn't even be on there, unless they said, hey, we'll remonetize him as long as he doesn't control his content. You know, so it's very interesting when you look at this all. I believe that there was a big part of information that was not provided here in terms of the fee, because then if you look at the fee, like for example, say it's a $25 million contract, right? And then we say, $100,000, let's see, what is this? Let's say, let's just do some math here, right? And say, well, hold on, where's my calculator? So say you have $100,000, multiply that by 192, so that's 19.2, right? 19,002,000. So say he got $25 million as his contract, which is likely probably what it was, somewhere right around there. And then he was fined, say he misses every single episode. If it was $25 million, he'd still walk with what? $5.8 million? Walk away, like straight up walk away with it. So, of course, there's other things that a company is going to build in, because otherwise he could do 70 shows and say, I don't want to do any more shows. And they would still be obligated to pay him the same amount, even if he's not producing the content that he was hired to produce. That makes it a lot easier to understand the contract. It doesn't make it easier to understand why the companies that's behind these contracts are the free speech, like, powers that be, right? The ones that are going up there and yelling at the left for doing the very same thing that they're doing this way. And listen, I knew this because, again, I had an opportunity when I was a much bigger show and everyone was watching me every night with the riots and all that stuff. I had the opportunity to go over to one of these companies, and I had meetings with the CEO and everything, and I got excited about it. And then I started thinking about it, and I realized that the very same shit was going to happen to me. That I wasn't going to be able to talk about the content that I wanted to talk about. I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to. The good things didn't outweigh the negative for me. And so I made the decision not to go there. And then it's really funny because then I started getting demonetized, and I literally started doing the same exact things that they were saying that, or that I feared would happen if I signed a contract. I literally had to start doing it myself in order to try to stay afloat. But luckily, like some of the other YouTubers that are out there, is we all created our own e-commerce brands. And luckily, those have been successful enough to try to keep us afloat, through some of the ventures and stuff. And so, we're fortunate in that regard. But not everybody has that ability. Steven Crowder's got his Mug Club, and I don't know how much revenue. I don't know what Mug Club is, and if it's generating him enough revenue to sustain. My guess is it's not, and that's why he's shopping out these subscriptions to other people. From what I understand, he probably doesn't have he's not Mr. Beast, okay? So he's not making money at all from YouTube. He's not doing a shirt drop, selling 60,000 shirts in 24 hours or something like that. It's just not doing. Whereas Steven Crowder could launch a coffee company and put me, the Quartering and Black Rifle out of business in 24 hours. Literally, no joke. He could do any of that if he had a good marketing team behind him, but he doesn't want to. He wants to just create content and focus on the content because that's what he wants to do. And I wish him the best, and I hope that he does it. Someone said it's $99 a year for Mug Club. So let's just, see. I won't even, I will. So let's say you got 4, 7, 1, 4, and we'll divide that by 100. So you would need 47,000 subscribers just to maintain what his budget is looking like it, or his net revenue is at $4.7 million. He would need 47,000 members, which I don't know how he's having 47,000 members that all do the $99 Mug Club thing, because, I mean, wasn't this the first video he's put out in almost a month? And he could still do it. I mean, Steven Crowder, in a month, he could have launched his own platform. I sent him an email a month ago, and I said, listen, I failed at it. I can tell you exactly how to do it, and it's going to cost you a shit ton of money, but you could build your own platform. He doesn't need any of these other companies. That's the thing. Steven Crowder's not like anybody else. He doesn't need a big conservative tech company to sign them, or he doesn't need any of that shit. He could do it all on his own. He could build his own platform. He could pitch it to networks. He could literally be on, all these television. The first is literally on DirecTV and all these other things. Have you watched them? They have like 2 live viewers every single day. They're just playing reruns of syndicated content, and they have networks on television. It's insane. But my guess is that he doesn't have the right people in his ear. People that are willing to say, hey, listen, dude, you could do this and make a shit ton of money. Like, you could do this and supplement it so you don't need a big payout of $25-30 million, because you could generate that revenue in no time. He could create an apparel brand or anything else because he has such a huge following. Ryan Hall has 1 million followers. He does the weather. Yeah, but that's the craziest thing is Ryan Hall started a year ago. Like, that's the craziest thing. I remember when people, told me about Ryan Hall and saying that I should get him on Citizen Stringer way back when he wasn't even that big. Leanne Smith said that's what he's doing. Yeah, I believe that's what he's trying to do now, but I don't believe he's going about it in the right way, because this is not what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be lining up all my enemies against me right now. What I would have done is kept producing content and build that platform on the back end. Nobody even knows about it. Get it working, get it concise, get it working properly, and then boom, you launch that. That's what I would have done. And not just that, you have to diversify. If your mainstream of revenue is coming from a contract with a company, well, see, if he signs a contract like this, he can't do anything. They own his whole brand. That's enough of a reason why I would never ever go with a contract like this. Unless like they offered me something stupid like $100 million or something like that. Hell yeah. But if they offer me something that I tangibly think I can make in a year or two, no, I'm not going to do that. Why would I? You know what I mean? I would say, no, like, here's the agreement I'll do. I'll let you license my show from me. You know what I mean? And this is what it costs to license a show. That wasn't a licensing agreement that we saw there. Not at all. What that was that was a contract where they own your intellectual property. They own you is what it was. And I can understand his point of saying, like, all these companies shouldn't go after them. All these companies or all these little content creators should not sign contracts like that. Yes, because you don't have any job security. If you get boycotted, you get banned, you get kicked off the platform, and you're no longer making money for that platform that you are on, you're cut. And then you're back to doing it. And if you sign a contract like that, you don't even own your intellectual property. You don't own your shows. You don't own any of your previous content. You don't own any of that because you were non-existent according to them when you came over to them. Like, here's a good example, right? So many people that have been watching, before I got involved in politics, I had a show online called Freight Broker Live and a news outlet called Freight Broker Live. I'm not going to say the company because I can't, because they'll probably sue me. But I was hired and put on the payroll of another company, and essentially to do my show over there, to report on them, to be broadcasting it. We're much bigger television style, and to be a broadcaster there specific to the freight and logistics industry. I did it for a little bit. They were VC funded, blah, blah, blah. I lost my job as a result of that. And then they tried to say that I wasn't able to do my show anymore. And I said, well, I'll see you in court, because there's absolutely no way that I can work here for, a couple of months, and then you say you lay me off, and then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. There's no way at all. And so I literally had to fight with them, but then they came and we actually complimented each other and helped grow, I believe, after that, because there were stories that were too big for me to handle, and now I knew them, so I went over to them. So It's Mug Club has 300,000 paid subscribers. Yeah, but not all of those are full members. But that's so what I'm saying is a lot of companies do that where you come in and they like your content, they like your audience, and so they say, hey, come work for us, bring your audience over. You have full creative control. You can do everything. You get over there, and then you don't have what you were supposed to have. And it's sometimes it's no fault of the company. They realized, that it doesn't work with their business model. And at the same time, or their business model simply doesn't work with you as a content creator. And that's happened. That happened to me where I'm just like, hey, listen, I literally get in front of a camera when I worked with other people and I couldn't talk. I couldn't do my show. I couldn't do anything because it was different. It wasn't the same. I felt like I had to conform to a certain set of standards that wasn't me. And so, luckily I got laid off and it wasn't me that ended up, walking away, although I was pretty damn close to doing it. And then we had to go into because they're like, oh, you can't do this anymore. And I'm like, the fuck I can, because I'm going to do it anyway. I'll see you in court and I'll broadcast every bit of it. And so that's what ended up happening. And that company is now one that I refer to everybody because they're amazing, and there's a lot of things about the industry in general about broadcasting that I don't believe people know. Like if he should have, to me, listen, I'll be honest with you. To me, this whole video today was, oh God, I hate to say it because I like him so much. I almost think it was a little bit of propaganda. You know what I mean? It's almost like, okay, we're going to battle. He probably is privy to so much more. Like the big con, right? And all that, the conservative con and all that. This isn't it. This isn't it. He probably knows a lot more about it. This contract isn't it. Because this contract is the same as what everybody else is going to get going into that industry. If you're trying to sell your whole brand, he probably tried to say, I want this extraordinary amount of money per episode. And they said, okay, this is what we want for that amount of money. And then he was like, I don't like this. This isn't what I want. And then he makes a video about it. That, to me, it's like, do I like the Daily Wire, Daily Caller, Blaze TV, any of those companies? No, because they're all beholden to advertisers. I already did that corporate broadcasting shit, and that's exactly what's happened. I remember writing an article about XPO Logistics, and I was told I'm not allowed to report on that article. And I was like, why? And they're like, because they advertise with us. And I'm like, fuck that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And that is the biggest fear for a content creator like Steven Crowder, is that they don't want to walk back what they do. You know what I mean? They don't want to do. It sounds insane, but he literally said, all I know is there are at least 300,000 of you who pay for Mug Club. I don't know, because of 300,000, let's say there was 300,000 at 99 per year. That'd be 29 million, which still is in the ballpark of what I said. So even if he did, in fact, have 29 million people or $29 million in revenue, which every single data source that I've been able to find, that anyone that works in corporate sales, you know what I'm talking about, none of them show revenues that high. But let's just say the revenues were that high. That would correlate with a contract like this with the fees, right? It would correlate with this fee, unless those numbers aren't real. Or they said, yeah, sure, you got to do it, but you have to have, or there's another thing in here saying we must get 150,000 paid subscribers within 30 days. Otherwise the contract is null and void, or something like that. That's what I'm saying with the contract, is they left out crucial things, which led me to believe, because at first I had the same feeling everyone else did. I was all outraged. I'm like, I can't believe this. They're trying to censor him. And then I'm like, wait a second, the fee. They kept mentioning the fee, and I'm like, where's the fee? And I went through all the different shows that they talked, and I watched the entire video again to hear if he addressed the fee, and he didn't. And then I'm like, okay, so the fee could be fucking $50 million for all we know. You know what I mean? Think about it. And that literally changes everything. And we know already. So say he does have 300,000 paying subscribers at the full $99 per month, which I doubt immediately. That's $29 million. He's not monetized on social media. So then you get advertising revenue from advertisers. Let's just say it's a fraction of that. Let's just say it's 10%. So he gets another roughly $3 million in advertising. It puts his net revenue at $31 million, $32 million. That means each episode is, $31 million plus 9 or multiplied by whatever. You know what I mean? So he's got approximately what? 1.2 or $125,000 per episode, essentially, or $100,000 per episode because of his extra content that he puts out. These numbers all still make sense at the fee being in this contract, a whopping 30 million, 32, 25. It doesn't even matter what the number is because I guarantee it's that high, and that's why it wasn't put in there. Because if they put it in there, when you hear all of these penalties, they make sense. If he said, yeah, I got offered this contract for $25 million, but if I call in sick and I don't do a show, then I get fined $100,000. Well, no shit. That's not a big dip in the bank when you're talking about $25 million. In fact, if you didn't ever do a show at $25 million, you'd still profit $4.8 million for your business, for your livelihood, for what you built. Is it enough? No. Is it enough at all? Would I do something like that? No, especially not with the social media one that I talked about. This page, for Steven Crowder, this basically says, hey, listen, I'm not going to get the full amount that you promised me because they are going to try to boycott. They are going to give me content strikes, and I am going to get banned off platforms because he has a track record of doing so. You know what I mean? So it's not that surprising to hear this. And I think that's one of the interesting things is when he says, like, they're getting people to sign this. Well, I agree with that aspect. I agree with the fact that they are going after people. And I agree that they're trying to take contracts from people, and essentially buy the content. You know what I mean? It would be like someone coming in and saying, Steve, come do a show over here. We'll give you $2 million, but you can never do a show again. Everything you do has to be in the name of our company. I get how someone like Steven Crowder would say, absolutely not, don't do it. You're signing your life away. Because Steven Crowder built his shit by himself. You know what I mean? But then you got to look too at the example that he's had. It can't be that great if he's shopping around offers already to other people instead of doing it himself. So it's like a catch-22. You know what I mean? What Steven Crowder needs to do is hire a CEO, not some Joe Blow. He needs to hire a CEO. I believe Mr. Beast has one. Hire a CEO to run your business. You run the show, you run the whole shindig, but the CEO deals with all the business. And then you have marketing people and you run it like a business, top down. And that's what it should be. And I don't know if that's how he's doing it over there, but that's how he needs to do it because he has already he's got email lists that people would pay millions of dollars for. He's got a subscriber base that he could send out a tweet that's like, hey, buy this fucking kitty litter. And 500,000 people are going to buy his kitty litter. If he shouted out my coffee company, which is much better than Coffee Brand Coffee, by the way, he still won't do a taste test. And that's why I'm going to keep doing it. Like, if he wants to do a taste test with me, bro, straight up, I'll do a taste test. My Awake Not Woke versus whatever fucking non-label coffee yours is. Okay? And then we'll do a taste test. We'll give it to a neutral person somewhere, and we'll do a taste test. But my coffee's better. I already know it is. Sorry. And I talked to Jeremy. I think he's a funny guy. But yeah, someone needs to do it. He needs to have a CEO that's running his business because that way he is able to focus on the content and he doesn't have to focus on the everyday business of running what is, in fact, a business. And that's my belief. He's right in saying that, up and coming content creators shouldn't sign contracts like this because if they have clauses in this, there's a easy way for you to lose your business and you don't own any of the rights, everything you worked for, everything that you built up. And it's easy to flash a shit ton of money in front of someone, and then just have it gone. It's super easy to have that happen. You know what I mean? And to, or even it's easier to do it to yourself. I'll be honest with you. It's easier to build something really, really great, and then you see it start to downturn, right? Everyone starts tightening the belts. You're not making as much money, and then you're on the verge of losing everything, and then you got to make hard decisions. Those are not decisions you have to make if you sign all that responsibility over to someone else. But if you choose to do it yourself, it does make it a lot more complicated, And Samantha Fitzgerald said Mr. Beast was offered $1 billion for him and his show. He told him no, his show's worth between 10 and 20 billion. Yeah, he is. And his channel is, because think about the marketing aspect of it. He can launch a freaking burger franchise that's not that good, in my opinion, and he will have people lined up. And it's not even him. He's literally, it's like the fucking Good Burger shit. Like, no joke. That's what it is. Where they're putting different sauce on a fucking burger, and then it's like, oh, it's a Beast Burger. No, it's not. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. It's a great idea, and he made a shit ton of money off of it. Like, great, good for him. And now he's opening regular restaurants and stuff. But I mean, he's got smart people behind him, Mr. Beast. He's got smart people behind him. Like, trust me, the people that do know me, you're probably like, Steve, I bet you're like, I've had some insane opportunities in the past 2 years, all of which I've turned down. I'll never talk about them on here because I will literally lose followers if I was to talk about them. I'm lucky that the people that watch my show and know what I'm talking about still watch my show, because every day they're probably like, fucking A, we could have made it, Steve. But again, I like to do what I'm doing. Mr. Beast is like, who he is. He's the biggest YouTuber. He's got like 100 million subscribers on YouTube. He does like the weird pranks and stuff. I don't know what the hell they are. I don't watch him. My kids watch him. But I watched him for a while. April said, your son bought a piece of dark chocolate. It was awful, but I told him it was good. He said, I know it's Mr. Beast chocolate. Oh, gotcha. But yeah, it's interesting when you think about this whole thing from a different perspective. But before we get into the point that I think Steven Crowder was trying to make, I gotta tell you what we do to keep this channel independent, because you're not seeing ads on this on YouTube because they don't monetize my videos. You're not seeing a bunch of fancy like ads playing all over the place. Maybe on Twitch, I think they've fucking put out 1 million ads a minute there. But we have a coffee company that's better than every other coffee company. We've changed the slogan to America's most patriotic coffee company, because someone else says America's coffee company, but they're bullshit because they don't even actually like this country. You know what I mean? I don't know. They kind of shit on people all the time, people that literally care about the country. You know what I mean? What they say about Trump supporters or Kyle Rittenhouse, I'm not even getting into that. What they say about all that, I don't know. I don't know. But we do. We truly have the best coffee, and we prove it, because if you don't like the coffee, you can send it back and we'll refund your money. And we've never, how long have we been open with a coffee company? 1.5 years, something like that. We've never refunded a bag of coffee, ever. So that has to tell you, we have amazing coffee. Go over to puretruthcoffee.com. And we also have hoodies, and like this hoodie you can get there, all sorts of shirts, hats, mugs. Here's a special we're running right now, because this is going to make all of you go. And I'll wait for you all to come back. But you can go to Pure Truth Coffee right now. April is putting it in the chat. Go to Pure Truth Coffee right now. Buy a hoodie, right? Buy a hoodie, any hoodie. Add a coffee mug to your cart. The coffee mug is completely free, any of our mugs. If you want a tumbler instead, add a tumbler. It's 50% off, because I can't make it free because they are more expensive. Also, we have Patriot as fuck boxes, and those are 2 t-shirts, a bunch of patriotic stuff in a 50 caliber ammo can. They're like $125. You could choose the t-shirts you want if you follow the instructions on the post. April is going to put it all out there. We have a super ambitious goal to get, and for that reason, I am willing to give away coffee for life to one person who purchases something today from the store. And you can purchase whatever you want. But if you go to puretruthcoffee.com and purchase anything, again, I prefer the sweatshirt and the mug mix, but you can buy anything there. I'm going to pick one person at random tomorrow morning, and you're going to win 4 bags of coffee every month, free to your door for a year. And any coffee that you want. So that's the best part. You could choose, you can have a variety. Basically, every month, I'm probably going to put the responsibility on you to email me and say, hey, Steve, this month I would like to try this, and this, and this, and this coffee. And we'll get it right out to you every month. All right, so, and I'll talk more about that at the end, right? But that is the way we are able to do everything we do. So, because we're not really monetized on social media at all. So we need you guys to go and buy the coffee and buy the hoodies and all that stuff. So, and all of our coffee is now ground to order. So you'll see on our classic coffees, it says either whole bean or ground. I actually grind it because we have a physical storefront now in Woodstock, Virginia. But I actually grind all the coffee for that day, the orders that day, that morning. So if you order like a Wake Not Woke today and it's in stock, which it is, tomorrow morning I'll go into the store, I'll grind it up, package it, and ship it out tomorrow to you. If it's whole bean, we package it and ship it out to you tomorrow as well. So, and it's roasted like a week before. I order it every week. So, but yeah, that's the one main thing that we changed over the past 2 months is because we opened the physical store. And then I was like, I have this big commercial coffee grinder that I don't use. So let me just start doing that. And it makes it a little bit easier for you guys. Lizar said you were charged for your mug as well as the bundle. Well, because you didn't do it right. So because if you ordered a bundle, the mug is not free. You're going to get a different tumbler or mug or shot glass in your bundle. If you order a hoodie, add the mug and the mug is free. If you're trying to order the hoodie bundle and you add the bundle and then you try and you pick out a hoodie and then you try to add a mug, it's not going to work because then you're trying to use 2 sales that we don't do because the bundle already comes with a mug. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But if you want to win coffee for life, 4 bags of coffee, so that's what, 4 12-ounce bags of coffee every month, straight to your door. Now is the time to do it. If you've been waiting, and plus, if you don't like the coffee, anyone who buys it, if you don't like it, send me an email and say, Steve, the coffee wasn't the best. I don't know why. And I'll refund it. And to this day, I told our roaster that today, and they're like, that makes us incredibly happy. And I'm like, great, can I get a discount? And they're like, no. You pay for this perfection. I was like, come on. Because they raised the price again of the Awake Not Woke. I'm like, come on. They're like, it's the beans. They're charging us more. I'm like, God damn, Joe Biden. But yeah, one of the things that's interesting about the Steven Crowder thing is it's just because I've been in this position before because I had an opportunity to go, to have my show over somewhere else with a production team and do all that. And I just wouldn't have the control. And I knew I wouldn't have the control. And I fought against it for a while. And I'm like, I don't care. Money. I'll take the money. And then they're like, you may have to relocate. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll do it. And then I was like, nope. Something in my head was like, nope, it's not the right choice. Don't do it. And so I made the decision not to do it. And it was purely because I wouldn't be able to because I did it once already, right? I moved my entire family to go work for the broadcasting company in the freight industry. And luckily, we moved to Florida. I was a director with a different company, and then they moved us, and then I took that job, and I moved to Tennessee and was commuting back and forth on the weekends to spend time with my wife and kids because we didn't all want to move and have it fall through. And luckily, we didn't because it did fall through after a very short time. Not of my doing, but I probably would have quit anyway because it sucked, and I couldn't do what I came there to do. I couldn't be my own content. You know what I mean? They wanted it their way. And that's just not what I did. So Steven Crowder makes a very good point in that regard, right? Because if you sign contracts like he held up, then you lose all creative rights for your brand, for everything you built. And so if that was his point of holding up the contract, then I agree with him. But that's not what was happening in the contract. And by him omitting the fee meant that he knew that. And he knew that offer was them buying. And they probably made a substantial offer on his entire brand. And so when he points out all these negative things that are in the contract, that's because they are buying the brand. It's like if someone came to me right now and said, Steve, I will buy Pure Truth coffee off you 100%. And it's going to be for this amount of money. They expect that they're going to make that money back. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're just buying it and saying, well, we're just going to close the company. Although people do it, competitors and stuff like that would do it. But likely with a brand that's as big as his in the faithfulness. I remember going into a gun club in St. Lucie County, Florida, going in there. And they were listening to Steven Crowder inside the gun range. And I'm like, this is freaking, like, that's when I was doing my show and all that stuff. And I had a big thousands of people watching every day. And I'm like, I want to get to that point Where and granted, I do get recognized and all that stuff, but Steven Crowder, they don't even know what the guy looks like. They just listen to him every day. You know what I mean? And I always said, I want to get to that point, right? You know, and then to find out that some of my advertisers were the same ones were advertising with him, that also boosted my confidence. And to be honest, the one time I got recognized in Costco or where was it, Tractor Supply, I was like, okay, it's done. I'm famous now. You know, simple things like that. At least my kids, it didn't become real until Costco. When I got recognized in Costco, they were like, whoa, Dad's famous. But I don't even have 100,000 subs on YouTube. Can you imagine having 5.48 million? I mean, Steven Crowder has an immense amount of power. And so that's, and just by his audience. And that's why I believe that this contract was for tens of millions of dollars. And he deliberately left in my opinion, left the fee out because that would put it all into perspective. And maybe he did it because he wanted to make a point to say, look, these companies that are offering to buy out these content creators and give them a platform to reach new heights, they're also selling their souls, essentially. They are saying you can't create content anymore. Do you know what I mean? But Matthew Lambert said, you keep saying for life, not for a year. I don't know what you're talking about for life. Oh, coffee for a year. No, I'm not saying coffee for life. I'm saying coffee for a year. If you make a purchase in the store today. You're getting a gray beard. I am. It's very gray, especially when the light's on. You could see it. But it is what it is. I think it's coffee for a year, not for life. If I said for life, it's because it's late, and I apologize. It's not for life. It's for a year. I am going to be doing a coffee for life giveaway, but that's not going to require any sort of anything. That's going to be free, and it's going to be a much larger competition or like giveaway because I have to comply with IRS standards for that because the coffee will be over $2,500. So at this rate, it's not. But there, now you all know, because I said it several times, it's not coffee for life right now. It's coffee for a year. Okay. So, and then for everyone that's like, you said it twice. Well, now I've said it's for a year, like 17 times. So I believe you guys probably understand now what it is. So, and plus April's writing. So the link that you're clicking on, April's writing for a year. I see the link. Jeez. But anywho. Yeah. So what else is going on? I mean, that's the greatest and latest update on the Steven Crowder thing. And I hope that made sense to people, because at first I had the outrage. You know what I mean? At first I had the same outrage everyone else did. I wrote him an email, same outrage. But then I started thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, this contract is not for him to host his show over there. It's for them to own his show and his everything. There, April just put it on the chat again. Coffee for a year. Any purchase is 1 entry, 2 entries for a hoodie and free mug bundle, and you get 5 entries for the Patriotic as F bundle. And that's for any point today. So if you go and you buy a bundle, like for example, if you buy a hoodie and a mug, and this is the easiest way to do it. If you go to the store, actually, I'll show you in a minute. But hopefully that made a little bit more sense to people, because he's right in regards to that nobody should do it. You know what I mean? And I'm a case in point of why people should do it. Because look what happens when you don't do it and you have an opportunity. And I passed down another great opportunity like 2 months ago. It's just a different sector, to go be a producer for someone else. Different channel, different everything. And it was a lot of money, and it could have been a game changer. But for me, I was like, no, I can't give up on everything I'm working for here, And people have those kind of opportunities all the time, and I understand if I'm to take what Steven Crowder said today as what I believe he meant to say, I completely agree that you shouldn't give in, and that's kind of what he said at the end, because he said, I'm going to build it, and if you need a home for your show, then we'll put you on. If you need to be an employee, then, to have that security, then maybe we'll put you on. Or even better yet, then he even said, listen, if you really are entertaining contracts like this, we will give you discounted legal advice on them, which in that sense, Steven Crowder is doing something that nobody else will do, because he's saying that, listen, what's happening in the industry with all them buying up all of this, because here's the truth. All of these little social media guys that are going to these companies, because they reached out to me when it, in 2021, the big guys reached out to me and were like, hey, we'd love to have your show over here. And I talked with them for a long time, and I was like, it just doesn't seem like it would be a great fit for me for what I want to do. And it was probably more money than I would have made, since then. But I wouldn't have had the control that I have now over everything I'm doing. And that's the biggest issue for me. And a lot of people don't have that flexibility, a wife that has a salary and all that. A lot of people don't. So I know content creators right now that are making like $1,200 a month, $3,000 a month on social media. And they're like, yeah, this is great. This is great. And if they had a contract like this, even a fraction of the money, they would go in it in a heartbeat. And that's what Steven Crowder is saying, is don't sign these contracts. Because what you're doing is you're making it harder for anyone else to be successful. Because then if all of the independent content creators are going to these big companies, then they're no longer creating content on their own. And so then you have these big companies and these big tech companies doing this same thing where they're promoting their brands and they're advertising and they're spending all that money to promote them, and you're not going to get any lift off of it. Steven Crowder has the ability to do that, to be big tech. Literally he does. And I think he knows that. He has to know that. He's got to have one person in his ear saying like, dude, you are it. You are, the biggest political commentator on social media, on the right or the left. He is the biggest one. If he could literally write out a business plan that would take him 20 minutes to write, and he could probably line up VC funding out the ass for it, because they know that he's going to bring an existing customer base. He'd be cash flow positive from the moment he began operations. And I wish he would. I sincerely hope for the first part of his video today, I was yelling at my screen saying, you do it on your own, do it on your own. Sure, it's expensive. Sure, it costs money. If I was to do it all again, I would have waited until I had bigger audiences, and I would have done other things and added more content right away and driven more revenue streams in. The problem is, and this is what he was talking about a little bit today with infrastructure costs, the live streaming capabilities that I was paying close to $7,000 a month just in live streaming capabilities or in server bandwidth and all that stuff, just for me, just for my show, not including any of the other shows. Those were all overages that I got hammered on. A show like Steven Crowder, you'd be talking about $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per show just in bandwidth allocation. Just because so many people are, using up that bandwidth to watch the shows. It literally is very expensive. And that's not a lot of people understand that. Like Blaze TV, Steven Crowder was their biggest one. I don't know who else is. Glenn Beck's on Blaze, right? I guess he's got a big show. I don't watch him, but I watch Steven Crowder sometimes. I had a Blaze TV membership, and I'll be honest, I canceled it. When Steven Crowder said he wasn't going to be on it there anymore, I canceled it because he's the only show I watched on it. And I can only imagine a lot of people did. And that's why I said that my belief is that Steven Crowder and Blaze TV, they didn't have a good split. And that's why it seems so sudden, But there's a lot of other stuff. Like there's stuff that happened with, Eliza Schaefer, and people were trying to tie that with the Steven Crowder stuff today. No, that's different. Eliza Schaefer, I don't know if he's talked about any of it. And I don't do what some of these other social media guys do, the political commentators who just report on other social media guys. I don't do that. I think Elijah Schaefer's thing with Blaze TV was quite a bit different. And hopefully he gets his shit figured out. But, he could be an example of it. But apparently he kept his own name and all that stuff, which is surprising because wasn't he slightly offensive before Blaze TV? Think about the opportunity that does, and the interviews and all that stuff, and the people that come on the shows and the guests because they know you're now part of this big organization. Steven Crowder doesn't have any of that. He could be like, I want a guest to come on the show. Who are you? Steven Crowder. Oh, yes, 100%. He can literally get probably anybody to come on his show. He has a huge audience. Look at his numbers on the video that he released in the first hour and tell me any program today that beat those numbers. You're not going to be able to find it. What's Tucker Carlson average on a late night show? A couple of million? Steven Crowder, if he went live every day at 8 o'clock on social media, he would break that. I believe he has. You know? He just needs people, the right people behind him saying, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You know? And hopefully he finds it. And hopefully he does the latter part, the very last bit where he said he was going to help other content creators. And he may build a platform and allow those content creators to thrive on his platform. Because truly, as someone that works in the industry, that is exactly what is needed. That's what I envisioned, right? That's I just didn't have the capital resources to do it. I'm not Steven Crowder. I don't, we share good names, except he spells his wrong. But, I just didn't have the financial resources to do everything. And I always said, and I always joked about it, like, if any of you guys are just independently wealthy and you want to become wealthier, let me know, because I know exactly how to do it. The amount of cash resources it takes to be able to do it is just, it's crazy, Someone said, I think his election streams beat out a lot of mainstream media. I believe they did. Tucker with 2 shows, 3.3 million. Really? But someone said, don't know, but AT is pissed. I don't know who AT is. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I'll show you how easy this is real quick, because I know some of you probably don't know how easy this is. And I know it can get confusing for some people. But watch, let me show you real quick. So if you want to take advantage of the hoodie and mug deal, all you have to do is you go over to apparel, click on hoodie, choose whatever hoodie you want. Say you want a For the Ladies hoodie, right? And you want this thing in Carolina blue and you're a large. You add that to your cart, right? So then it's in your cart. See, it's in your cart. And you'll see the price, $55. Standard price for a hoodie, just in case you didn't know. And then if you go over to gear and go to mugs, just do any mugs. And then say you want the thin blue line mug, right? You add that mug. Then you go to your cart. You're going to see the mug is now free because that's a promotion that we have. So if you buy a hoodie, you get any mug you want for free. If you didn't want a mug and you want a tumbler instead, and you went to tumblers and you said, I want the thin blue, back to blue tumbler. If you go in there, you're going to see the tumbler is now half price. That's one way to get 2 entries, right? And then when you check out, that's the checkout price. Now, if you want to do, this is the big change that I did for the bundles, because now our bundles are way different than what they used to be. They are amazing. Our patriotic as F bundles. Now they come in an ammo can. It's not a 30 caliber like that's pictured there. They were too small for all the cool shit that I put in them. So now it's a 50 caliber surplus ammo can from the United States military. Each box comes with 2 t-shirts, and I'll show you how you could put them in. Or, and a 12-ounce bag of Fiery But Peaceful, except for 10 of you tomorrow that have already ordered the bundles. You're going to get whatever coffee, and then there's going to be a handwritten note in there from me saying, use this code to get 10% off your next order, because we ran out of the Fiery But Peaceful. It's coming on Thursday. I'm not going to make anyone wait, and I'm sending out that coffee. But I also shipped 17 bundles today, and they all have Fiery But Peaceful in it. So, yeah, good. And then drinkware, stickers, patches, our new tactical hats, a bunch of other stuff, books written by a veteran. They all come in that bundle. Now, say you want to order a t-shirt bundle, a large bundle. You add that bundle to cart. Now, you have 2 options at this point. Shit, what did I do? You have 2 options at this point. Let me remove this hoodie. So now what you can do is order this bundle and you're good to go. But if you want to pick your t-shirts, because right now I will just select 2 t-shirts from our stock and put them in there. However, if you want to select your t-shirts, just go over to apparel, click on t-shirts, And then you could say, I want this one in a large and good. And then you could say, I want the angry turn up for, I'm going to get a small for my kid. And then you could add your cart, and then see here, those are free. Because then what it does, I see that you already have your t-shirts because they're sent by our printer. Those are shipped out. I pack up the bundle and I send the bundle out to you right away. That means that for one, I'm getting the bundles out to you super fast. And secondly, you're getting the shirts really much faster anyway too, because I'm not printing them. So it goes a lot quicker. It goes from our partner printers. And then you could also do the same thing. So say you don't want t-shirts and you want the hoodie, do the same thing I just showed you. Go instead of doing the t-shirts, go to apparel, click hoodies, and say you want to impeach the big guy, and we'll put a large in there, add it to the cart, and now I got to delete those t-shirts real quick. Bam, bam, and then you'll see. Oh wait, I think I got to refresh because the other coupon was still there. All right, so let me delete. Oh, you know what? Because it's got to be a hoodie bundle. So when you go to bundles, you'll see Patriotic as F bundle. Then you click hoodie large there. If you don't select it, I'm going to pick the hoodie for you. If you go into hoodies and you choose the Impeach Biden large, add it to your cart, then go look at your cart, the hoodie is completely free. And then same thing, the hoodie is printed at our printer, gets sent out. It's a much better way for us to be able to get orders out much quicker. It's something we've been trying to do for a long time, and I think I finally figured it out, because I think what this allows me to do is just kick out these bundles to you next day, and the shirts are usually in the mail by tomorrow morning. Like if you order a hoodie today, I will see that they've already printed it overnight and it's already, pending a shipping label or already shipped out to you. That's why everyone that ordered the hoodies on Friday, you already got your hoodies. Like they came out quick. And the good part about them is if you have any issues with it, some people like ordered Land of the Free hoodie, but then got a different zip up because they screwed up on their end. What I'm doing is I'm just having you send me a picture, and then sometimes I'm like, hey, if I can use that hoodie, send it back to me. Otherwise, I'm just letting you keep it and getting you the correct hoodie out, because it's not my mistake, so I don't have to pay for it. They have to pay for it. But yeah, that's the best way. And you can buy the bundles. I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to meet a goal today. If I get probably 3 or 4 of these bundles sold today, we're good. And here's the thing. If you buy one of these bundles today, even though I said it changes every month, I have to restock because we're selling a lot of them. You're going to get all new stuff because the book is out of stock that we used to have. So it's going to be a new book. And the tumblers, I'm probably just going to order new tumblers to have different ones as well. So I'll probably just start alternating them all in. Different color hats, because you'll know that now they have hats. The patches, you're going to be very unlucky if you get the same patch twice, because we have so many different patches now. But yeah, go over there. It says your shipping is $20. Yeah, whatever it says for the shipping, that is what the shipping is, because again, it's coming from different distribution centers. So I am trying to work it out, but right now it's just not allowing me to. So I basically have to buy an add-on for the host that we use, Shopify, in order to allow it to combine the shipping. But for right now, yes, because that's what I'm paying for shipping. Until I figure out how to make it so I'm not double paying for shipping, that's what I'll do. Some people just go through every order every single day and refund the double, but I can't do that. It takes too long. So Eden's Vision said, your husband loves his patriotic bundle for his birthday. Nice. So, and yes, the patriotic bundles are heavy as hell because that ammo can is heavy. So that's why it's going to be more expensive than the previous ones. But because it's really an ammo can. I could have cheaped it and went for the plastic ones, but no, it's a surplus ammo can. So love the hoodie and free mug, all tremendous quality. Yeah. So that's why everyone goes, Patriot Lady, you ordered one hoodie, one mug. Go and order another one. I need as many of you guys today to buy hoodies, mugs, Patriot boxes, coffee, everything that you possibly can. Today is a rally day for us. If you can, share it out to your friends. Our subscriptions, we're going to have coffee club subscriptions that are going to come up They're not available yet because I'm still fine tweaking them. But that's going to offer free coffee or free shipping on all the coffee orders, plus an exclusive discount if you become like a coffee subscription member. We'll send those out to you. And also you're going to, when we do all of our clothing drops and all of our new products and exclusive subscriber, products, you guys will get first access to all of them as soon as I do get that up. But I'm trying to do it the right way. And yeah, so it takes a lot to do all this stuff all the time. So I thank everyone. Like I said, if we generate, I mean, we have to do more in total sales today. We're still a little bit on the light side of where we need to be, but if we get another 15 or so orders, we'll be in a really good position leading up to this week to finalize strong. So if you guys could, the link for it is in your chat. Please go and buy a Patriotic As F bundle. Buy whatever you can. I would truly appreciate it. And I will see all of you guys at some point tomorrow. I'm still waiting for these committee meetings. I'm still, because I know I said I wasn't going to cover them, but as long as if I do the sales that I need and I get the internet turned on in the store, when I'm there in the morning, I'll set it up so we can cover all those live hearings too, all the committee hearings and all that, because I think they are going to be mildly entertaining under the conservative leadership in Congress. I don't think they're going to do anything at all, but hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. Ed said, yeah, just watch some of the Steven Crowder's show. It was a shit deal. Yeah. But again, use it in your head that Steven Crowder probably had a huge buyout. That fee that he didn't mention at all was probably, $25-30 million. And that puts it into a different perspective. Yeah, it's still a shitty deal because he's losing everything he worked for, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? Because they're buying his brand. They're buying it, because otherwise, why do it? You know what I mean? Why would a company do it unless they're making a full play for the entire business? And a lot of people, and that's the industry standard. So that's the agreement that a lot of people think they have. That's why a lot of the people that are working for these companies, they're only pushing back. They're not pushing out their own brands or their own sites or their own things. No, they're pushing out those companies in their platforms because that is what they're obligated to do because that's who pays them. So I don't know. But yeah, please, guys, everyone, even if you've already bought a box, buy another one. Or if you ordered a t-shirt, Patriotic As F bundle, buy a hoodie, and pick your own hoodies if you want. Otherwise, we'll still send you random ones. All right, guys, I will see you next time. All right, tomorrow at some point. All right, bye. Where's the button? There.